Good evening, you're watching This Week, a weekly news review program. I'm your host, Anur Gamata. And for top stories for this week we have: Government announces that state will own 30 strategically important enterprises. International Conference on Huns Studies takes place in Budapest. And for the news, stay tuned. On November 5th, a ceremony was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the release of a postage stamp dedicated to the 100th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and Russia.
The ceremony was attended by Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Mukhchun, Deputy Speaker of the Federation Council of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation Konstantin Kosachev, and Pater, Chief Executive Officer of Mongol Post.
100 years is a long period of history for our two countries. Over this epoch, Mongolia has achieved its territorial independence, defended the integrity of its border, and gained international recognition. This might not have happened without the support of our country. In the tradition of mutual support, modern Russia is now continuing relations with Mongolia. For me, when I was a schoolboy, the first Mongolian word that I saw was the word shoteng, meaning post. Since we all collected stamps when we were kids, we saw these vivid pieces of Mongolian culture, tradition, and history through the pictures on these stamps, and we got acquainted with this wonderful country.
The commemorative stamp's design features the treaty on the establishment of friendly relations between Mongolia and Russia signed on November 5, 1921. The stamp reads 100 years of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and Russia, and the full sheet includes 100th anniversary logo and images of historical monuments in Ulaanbaatar and Moscow, temples, monasteries, museums, modern buildings, and traditional Russian and Mongolian musical instruments such as balalaika and the moronkhor.
Postage stamps are a symbol of independence as they depict the history and culture of a country. A whole working group worked on the stamp's design dedicated to the 100th anniversary of diplomatic relations. The Ministries of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia and the Russian Federation provided necessary support and consultation.
The last 100 years of diplomatic relations between our two countries have been rich and fruitful in historical cooperation in all sectors. In the future, the two countries plan to maintain friendly relations and discover new ways to carry out economic cooperation.
Batsakhn, a senior Mongolian diplomat, provided professional consultation and assistance during the creation of the stamps. Historical reference materials were provided by the neighboring countries' Department of the Mongolian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Central Archives of Foreign Affairs. The stamp was also unveiled in Russia. Mongol Post CEO Pater presented commemorative stamp sheets to the honored guests who participated in the launching ceremony. Collectors can purchase the stamps from Mongol Post.
Lately, new cryptocurrencies have been launched in Mongolia. MNB spoke to the head of the Supervision and Regulation Division of the Financial Regulatory Commission, to learn more about the domestic virtual asset market. In the current era of globalization, the trade of digital currency is growing rapidly. Virtual asset exchange is a hot topic in 2021, prevalent in the socio-economic sphere and media. As a result, the government of Mongolia, Bank of Mongolia, and Financial Regulatory Commission have presented a bill on cryptocurrency regulation to Parliament, which is now being reviewed. The Financial Regulatory Commission has been regularly warning the public about this matter. The FRC is relaying statements made by the Financial Action Task Force, the European Central Bank, and the European System of Financial Supervision, stating that the virtual asset exchange process is not regulated, that assets are not insured by any financial institution, future gains are uncertain, and that the market is highly risky and inconsistent. People should participate in this market with caution. Accordingly, the Bank of Mongolia and the FRC have made a public service announcement regarding the use of digital currency. On October 15th, the Bank of Mongolia and the FRC emphasized that the value and the exchange of digital currencies or coins are not addressed in the law on the securities market, the law on companies, and the law on the national payment system. One area of public interest is digital currency trade using various exchanges, and more people want to make a profit from trading cryptocurrency. As a result, 9 legal entities have attracted investment from the public using cryptocurrency and have accumulated around 180 billion MNT in the primary market. Around 32 different legal entities have currently offering new cryptocurrency to attract investment, On one hand, business entities now have this idea that you can quickly attract investment through virtual asset exchange. On the other hand, individuals have the desire to rapidly make a substantial profit from trading. When this desire blows up one day, there will be victims. For that reason, the Bank of Mongolia and the FRC have made a joint statement announcing that individuals will be solely responsible for the risk involved in investing in this market. Therefore, people should avoid participating in virtual asset exchange without any knowledge of it. If you really do want to invest in it, please invest only the amount of money that you can afford to lose. I would like to advise people to be careful not to spend their life savings on virtual asset exchange. As of today, not a single law or regulation covers the use of digital currency, its participants or its providers. Since business entities are releasing their own virtual currency without any regulations in place, there are a lot of risks associated with it. Individuals are releasing digital currencies based solely on a marketing plan, ignoring deposit funds, business guarantees, or project viability. Also, these accumulated assets are not reflected in the domestic economy and are flowing into foreign markets and foreign currencies. The International Conference on Studies of the Huns took place in Budapest, Hungary. Scientists from the US, Russia, the Netherlands, Turkey, South Korea, Hungary, and other countries attended the conference. Presentations were given on the conquest, culture, weaponry, and battles of the Huns. Simu Studio from Mongolia also attended the conference to present an exhibition featuring more than 40 cave paintings and to screen the documentary The Secrets of Bethlehem.
Not only were the Huns mighty warriors, but they also innovated iron and linen production, as well as agriculture and animal husbandry. Evidence of their contributions to the development of culture and economies can be found across Eurasia, including Mongolia, which was highlighted during the conference.
As many international scientists presented their research work, we had the opportunity to learn more about our Hun ancestors. There were a few highly interested presentations about archaeogenetics that proved that the DNA of the Huns who lived in Central Asia is connected to the Huns who lived in Europe.
The International Conference on Studies of the Huns strengthened the ideas about the history and civilization of the Huns through various presentations of studies based on archaeogenetics, the study of ancient DNA. In addition, the Simu Studio exhibition of 42 selected cave paintings was shown at the Hungarian Royal Palace. After seeing the exhibition, Hungarian researchers offered to collaborate on publishing a book of the cave paintings with descriptions in Mongolian, English, and Russian.
Mongolia has an abundance of cave paintings, and it was an honor for us European scientists to see dozens of them today. The exhibition was crucial to our research work, as you can learn a lot about time periods from cave paintings. For instance, the Chalcolithic, Bronze Age, and Han time periods are depicted vividly. Cave paintings show what the people of the era wore and used. Their daily lives are shown in the cave paintings as if they were painted by real artists. The biggest focus on the Institute for Hungarian Studies is to conduct genealogical DNA tests from skeletons in order to fully confirm that Attil's Huns are connected to the Huns of Central Asia.
Scientists from Mongolia, Russia, and Kazakhstan noted the importance of organizing this conference regularly in the future in order to further develop studies of the Huns.
There are more than 50 factories in Mongolia that reduce plastic packaging. These factories purchase raw materials from China and produce a variety of plastic bags and packaging for the domestic market. Due to the closure of the Chinese border, there is a high probability that manufacturers will be facing a shortage of raw materials.
Up Plastic is a manufacturing company that produces more than 10,000 types of food packaging to order. Most manufacturers in Mongolia order raw materials from China, Japan, and South Korea. Up Plastic has been stocking up on material reserves for 3 months, but according to a factory worker, due to the closure of the southern border, there is now a shortage of raw materials.
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought some advantages to the food packaging industry. The number of supporters of domestic products is growing and people are becoming more positive. I think that's a very good thing. The public is beginning to understand that local manufacturing must develop in Mongolia. That means that the assets that used to go out to purchase imports are starting to return. In order to maintain this positive trend, the process of importing raw materials should be conducted in a more effective manner.
The packaging shortage has also affected the production of other products. For example, bread has been in short supply in Gir area grocery stores for the last few days.
The uncut loaves of bread that people usually buy are coming in smaller numbers because of the shortage of packaging materials. People often ask about our bread. Because we're a small shop, we used to buy 20 loaves of bread a day, but now that number has decreased.
From bread to other kinds of domestically manufactured food, all of them are dependent on packaging made from imported raw materials. The closure of the southern border is also influencing prices for food and medical items. Higher prices for all import-dependent raw materials are affecting production costs.
This week, newly appointed ambassadors to Mongolia from Belarus, France and the European Union presented their letters of credence to the President of Mongolia.
Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Belarus to Mongolia, Dmitry Gorelik, presented his letter of credence to President of Mongolia on November 8th, emphasizing the active development of Mongolia-Belarus relations in the fields of agriculture, transportation, emergency services, and education. President expressed interest in further expanding the scope of cooperation, particularly trade and economic cooperation, and wished the ambassador success in his work. Ambassador Gorelik underscored the opportunity to cooperate in science and technology and expressed his commitment to working to strengthen traditional friendly relations with Mongolia. On the same day, newly appointed ambassador of France to Mongolia, Sebastian Surun, presented his letter of credence. President Khrushchev emphasized that the friendly relations between Mongolia and France are successfully developing based on the common values of democracy, human rights, and freedoms, and expressed his desire to further expand cooperation in various sectors, including trade, the economy, culture, and education. He expressed his desire to cooperate with France in the field of environmental protection, climate change resilience, and combating desertification, and the intensification of cooperation in the field of renewable energy. He wished Ambassador Surun every success in his work. Ambassador Surun expressed his commitment to work with Mongolia and to expand cooperation in the fields of defense, civil security, mining, and culture. The French ambassador also offered support for Mongolian athletes who will participate in the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. The head of the European delegation to Mongolia, Axel Nikes, presented her credentials to the President of Mongolia. President Khrushchev thanked the European Union for its consistent support since Mongolia's transition to democracy and a market economy, and stressed his desire to expand bilateral relations and cooperation in the field of green development and environmental protection. He also thanked the European Union and its member states for their significant contribution to making COVID-19 prevention and treatment measures available through its funding of COVAX facility. Ambassador Nikes expressed her readiness to continue the successful implementation of the European Union's multifaceted development assistance program in Mongolia, and to work in close cooperation on sustainable green development and economic development.
The government announced that 30 strategically important enterprises are required to be owned by the state. Notably, at the regular cabinet meeting on November 10th, the Ministry of Finance put forward a suggestion to improve the governance of wholly or partially state-owned enterprises and should make a number of structural changes.
The Minister of Finance, Jahlan, said during a press conference, discussions are taking place on making structural changes to wholly or partially state-owned enterprises in 3 ways.
Studies are being carried out on making some structural changes to strategically important enterprises that are required to be owned by the state, enhancing the governance of certain companies by having them become joint stock companies, and a category of unprofitable state-owned enterprises that are not necessary to be operated by the state. At today's cabinet meeting, a presentation was done on strategically important entities that are required to be owned by the state, as well as providing them with a stable policy. As this issue will soon be finalized, it is currently planned to announce further structural changes for the enterprises by the end of this year.
The list of strategically important enterprises that are required to be owned by the state include over 30 companies such as Erdent Mining Corporation, Mongolia Russia, Erdens Town Толгой, Mongol Refinery, the airport at Hushug Valley, thermal power plants located in the capital city and provinces, and entities in charge of transmitting electricity.
The Prime Minister of Mongolia had a telephone conversation with the Prime Minister of Russia, Mishustin. The two Prime Ministers highlighted the successful ongoing celebration of the 100th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and Russia. They also discussed enhancing the preparation for the upcoming visit by the President of Mongolia to Russia.
Prime Minister Ayurda noted that the government of Mongolia is taking actions to resolve a number of issues in bilateral relations. As part of this, the government of Mongolia is working on settling the issues surrounding Ulaanbaatar railway loans and lifting transport tariffs, respectively. Parties have discussed possible financing options for the expansion project of the third thermal power plant after the execution of its feasibility study. The Prime Minister of Mongolia also talked about the establishment of a joint organization with the Rosneft company and its subsequent resolution of the fuel supply issue to the airport in the Hushuk Valley. He also highlighted the importance of consistent fuel supply in accordance with the agreed plan. The Russian side expressed their desire to focus on this issue. He noted that Russian enterprises are welcome to engage in energy and railway projects in Mongolia. Both sides agreed to strengthening the infrastructure at ports of entry, improving its operations, and focusing on making ports such as the Altınbalık Free Trade Area and the Ulhan port into bridges of transport, logistics, and trade that will fully satisfy the interests of both countries. Both prime ministers exchanged views on the opportunities of cooperation in the framework of the Eurasian Economic Alliance and agreed to negotiate regarding future actions for establishing a free trade agreement based on joint research. They also noted that it's vital to focus on expanding the cooperation in education, culture, and humanitarian sectors, and expressed their desire to continue training staff in these sectors in Russia and enhancing Russian language courses in Mongolia. They also arranged to hold a meeting of the Mongolia Russia Intergovernmental Commission this year to discuss and resolve the issues discussed. Both prime ministers agreed to have a close working relationship and meet in person when the time will be suitable for both parties.
Now let's see what's happened in sports industry this week. The Under-23 World Wrestling Championships took place over the weekend in Belgrade, Serbia. Dilgrma and Naranjo won bronze medals in the women's 68 kg and men's 61 kg weight category, respectively. Mukirl took 5th place in the women's 53 kg weight category. Dilgrma won the bronze medal in the women's 68 kg weight category at the Belgrade 2021 Under-23 World Championships. She lost to Russian Vusala Parfyanovic in the semi-finals. In the fight for the bronze medal, she defeated Sofia Schiff of Germany. Dilgrma won the 11th medal of the Under-23 World Championship among Mongolian wrestlers. Mongolian wrestlers have won 2 silver, 10 bronze and a total of 12 medals at the Under-23 World Championships. On the last day of the competition, Naranjo won a bronze medal in the men's 61 kg weight category. He defeated Islam Guisanov of Belarus 8-2 in the first bout, Majid Dastan of Iran 7-6 in the second bout, and Arman Eloyan of France 11-4 in the quarterfinals. In the semi-finals, he lost to Russian wrestler Artur Chebodaev 3-5. In the fight for the bronze medal, Naranjo won against Christopher Cannon of USA. Interestingly, Nassim Boyun, the brother of Naranjo, a resident of Hongorsum, Tarhon won the bronze medal at the 2014 Junior World Championships and the 2017 Youth World Championships. Muhkirtl also took 5th place in the women's 53 kg weight class. In the fight for the bronze medal, she lost to Turkish athlete Zeynep Yetkil 3-8 due to the lack of experience. Well, that's all for this week. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.